Hi, I am Saket Bansal back again with your PGMP exam preparation related questions. I am focusing on program lifecycle domain, and in this video I will share another 10 questions. So we'll start question number 61, we'll go till question number 70. If you miss seeing our previous videos, you can follow the playlist. You can find the link of the playlist in the YouTube description where you can find more than 100 plus questions, and we will keep adding. So we don't know by the time you see the playlist how many questions will be there for your PGMP exam certification. So let's start with question number 61. You are working on a program to facilitate the merging of two organizations. The program is completed and most of the expected benefits have been realized. Before transitioning the knowledge base to the operational team to sustain its benefits, what should you do as a program manager before initiating the program closure? So, program closure and the component of program getting closed, these kind of questions are pretty common in your PGMP exam. Reason being, you have many tasks associated with it in your PGMP exam content outline. So you may end up seeing closure related questions more than 10 times in your PGMP exam, 10 to 15, that's my estimate. So let's come back to this particular question. It is saying that you have finished most of your work, the benefits has been realized. Now you want to proceed with the closing. How should you proceed with that? So option A, create a final benefits reports. It's a good thing to prepare a benefits reports as a part of your closing activity. Yeah, you will prepare an overall program reports as well. Archive documents and lesson learned. You will do that as a closing activity for sure. Obtain approval for program governance board to initiate program closure activity. That's also a good idea. Close all procurement contract of the program. So what is important here in this question is most of the options, or I would say all of the options, are probably relevant. Yeah, you will do as a part of your closing activity. But one of the important thing we should understand from a PGMP exam perspective, that I should start my closing with a governance approval, and I need to have a final approval on the closing also from a steering committee. Yeah. So I start closure with the steering committee and I finish the program closure with the steering committee approval on the final documents and reports which I submit to them. Yeah, I need to have a final closure report. They will validate the benefits of it. They probably revalidate the business case of it before they give me a go ahead for closing the program. So since it's particularly focusing on that I am following the governance framework to close the program, I need to go with option C. This is most likely to be seen question in many of the practice tests because you will see these kind of question in the final exam as well. So one important thing is that you start the closing after taking approval from governance board or a steering committee. If you see an option as a steering committee, then also that option is right. This particular question is mapped to task 32 because it tells conduct program closure within the boundaries of the governance framework. Yeah. So you don't just wake up one day and decide to close. You may have a criteria where you can initiate the closing steps, but you still need to take an approval before you initiate the closing steps. As something which you need to keep in mind. Things may vary from one organization to another organization, but this is how the PGMP exam treats the program closure. Question number 62. A sudden change in the geopolitical situation has restricted access to critical materials and skills required for your program, rendering it as a unviable. Okay, no expected benefits or results can be achieved from the program. You have been instructed to begin program closure activities. Okay, so my governance board has said initiate closure. Yeah, so I don't have to take an approval because they are the one who are telling me. Yeah, which of the following activities will you perform for the program closure? So a reminder again, in your program management standard, the fifth edition, if you are using, or even the other one, you will have a small chapter talks about the program lifecycle domain. There is a content talking about component closure and the program closure. Yeah, so that's an important area. Another element in your program management standard you see is supporting activities, and there are closer activities. So if you have a familiarity with those terms which are given in the supporting activities for the closer, these kind of questions becomes very easy for you. So what they are asking is, which of the following activities are the program closer activities out of 4 options? Yeah, that's a simple thing the question is looking for. You can probably make a judgment also by way of looking at it, and if you have seen your supporting activity section well, then this becomes far easy. The closing content is not much. The supporting activities are also only few, and the content in the life cycle chapter or section is also less, but the rewards are very high. So I recommend you exploring the closing section very carefully. Now, coming back to the question, so you need to do a closer. First thing is you need to do a closer. Even if it's a termination of the program, still you need to do a closer. If it's a successful closer of the program, then also you need to perform a closer. So closer activities are consistently need to be done in your program. So option A, so which of the following activities will you perform for the program closer? Program procurement closer, you will definitely do. Program financial closer, update program management plan. So if you see this language, if you are following supporting activities content, you know the update program management plan is not necessarily be done when you are initiating the closing activity, but a procurement closer, financial closer is something you will do. Option B, program information archival and transition, you will do. Program resource transition, definitely you will do. Program risk management transition. Now, some of you may not remember that there was a activity talking about that you will do a program risk management transition also as a closer supporting activity. So out of all the content which we see in a B, all are available as a closer activity. So B looks a good answer. Option C, final lesson learned reports, yeah, program procurement closer, update business case. That may not be there. Yeah, so you will have a lesson learned, you will talk about procurement closer, but business case update can be there, but most likely you won't do it. Team training, option D, procurement closer, updating skill metrics. As a part of resource transition, you may end up doing skill metrics update. That's possible. Team training may not be done as a part of resource transition, but it can happen. End user training can happen, but little bit vague terminology is used. When I go to option B, I'm getting the exact terminology which are used in the program management standard. I know that these are the program closer supporting activities, and I can choose that answer without much doubt. So this is your answer for question number 62. You go with 62, you go with option B. Now here I am mapping it to task 33, which is talking about that you execute the transition and close out of the program for all constituent projects and component and other things. So that's something you are already having as a question number, the task number 33 in your PgMP exam content outline. Question number 63. Your program has 3 component projects. 2 of the projects are closed, and the third project team is supporting some benefit sustainment activity during the program duration. Okay. Your program is moving towards closure, and you have received approval for transitioning the benefits and starting the closing activities. Okay. So you are in a closure space. You got an approval to proceed the program closer. The project team receives a request for a change in deliverable, which will require an extension to the schedule by a few weeks. What should the program manager do? So this is a little bit mixing of change and closure, but I personally see this question more as a change rather than a closure activity. Just the context of closure has been created, but it is simply talking about that you had a project team which was doing something and they are getting the change request. Now, to create more confusion, they made I made a question talking about that this project team was doing sustenance activity. It is not the core work they were doing, and in their sustenance, while they are doing sustenance activity, they got a request. Yeah, and you were already proceeding to a program closer. So how should you proceed? Option A, ask the project manager to educate the customer to connect to the support team since you are in the process of transitioning to them. Yeah, actually it can happen. You are expected to transition to the operational or a support team who will be taking care of sustaining the benefits beyond program duration. Right now, since the program duration, the question is indicating that team was supporting it. Going forward, someone will support it. So you can say that why don't you go there? It's just a few weeks work. Those team members can handle it. So candidate option, in a practical life, you may end up doing it. The only thing is when you are dealing with a PgMP exam, I don't want to take away my responsibility, accountability. I will say I will do something here. I'm just not telling go to someone else. They are coming to me. I need to do something. rather than I just point out that go somewhere else for your problem. So that way I become little suspicious about option A. But it's a possible thing you end up doing in your program management. Option B, continue with your closing activities and include the change request as a part of your transitioning report. So this option is saying that since you already got an approval for closure, why don't you continue your closure activities? And when you are submitting your final program reports, you also mentioned that this change was requested by the stakeholder during the sustenance period, and we want to put it as a closure report. Yeah, so can be done. It's a possible thing, but again, it's not a proactive thing. I should do something about this change now rather than I say, I will put it in the closure report. Let's remain silent about it. What do we do about it is not very clear. So in a way, it is showing that I will remain silent about it. I will just put it as a part of a closure that this request was raised. We have not done anything about it. You probably want to take care. Yeah, that's the option B. Not a good idea. You may end up doing in your real life, but we don't want to do in the exam. Option C, close the project and the program and initiate a new component for the change that has been requested. That's the most unlikely thing you are going to do. Yeah, it is. You understand that you will not have a power to initiate the component directly. You need to follow a governance. You can propose it to a governance. Yeah, so that is something. Component initiation cannot happen just because something is getting asked. So that is, I think, easily to ignore. Now we left with option D. Follow the change management process outlined in the program. That's it. That seems to be a very simple line, but that's it. You need to recognize the change even it comes in the last day of your program. Till the time program is not closed, someone can request a change. We need to look into it. We need to do as per the change management process. We don't have to accept it. We don't have to reject it. It may happen after following the change management process. We go with option A, where we tell that, this is something is ongoing thing. We have to sustain it. Why don't you do this work with the help of your current the sustenance team who is taking over from this particular project team? That can happen. That also can happen that after reviewing the change, my governance board says, let's keep it as an open recommendation. Let's close the program and put this information as a part of a closure report. So option A and B can happen, but only once I have an agreement with my governance, when I have an agreement with my stakeholders or a steering committee people, and I do it with the help of change control or a change management process. So that way I go with option D. Now this question I map to task number 29, where we are conducting an impact assessment for program changes and recommended decision to obtain approval as per the governance framework. So the idea is, don't get confused that this change is coming towards the later stage and we are about to finish the work. Still, it's the same. Yeah, your process remains the same. Some plus minus may happen, but overall you need to follow a change management process. Question number 64. Your program consists of 5 projects and one of the projects had a weak local business case. Okay, management has decided to close this project prematurely. However, this closed project was expected to provide a critical deliverable to another project, which is currently in its final stage of the life cycle. What should the program manager do to address this situation? Yeah, so it can happen in your real world as well as in the exam. Yeah. So what should we do? Let's look at an option. I think question is pretty much clear. Add the scope of the dependent project to the dependent project and extend its duration to ensure benefits delivery. Most likely this will be the final result. Yeah, most likely. You will say, since you are dependent on it, that project is getting close, you need to do something about it and you have to do it. Most likely you will have in practice that thing will be done. But I probably need to talk to people. It's not that I take the call. I need to work in a governance framework. That's the whole idea of the change. The program manager cannot just take the call related to initiating or changing the scope of any component. I need to work with my governance group. So the thing which is missing is talking to the governance group in the option A. Option B, escalate the issue to the governance board and await their decision before taking further action. I can do that, but it would be better if I can do some options, some analysis before I escalate to my governance group. Yeah, that's the possible thing I can think of. Option C, present the updated program roadmap to reflect the project's closure and dependency in the next governance review. You want to talk to the governance group, you can definitely use your roadmap to reflect or show what is getting impacted. Yeah, you can show which project is closed and how it is connecting to the other project. But why to wait for a next governance review? This event has happened right now. It's a little significant event. Yeah? So you need to do something now rather than wait for a governance review and just not necessarily limit yourself to a roadmap alone. You probably need to get a little bit more detail. Option D, identify alternative ways, present the solution to the governance board for review and approval. Yeah, so the difference between B and D is talking about that I will do my job, but I will go to the governance group. Yeah. I'm just not telling them that please solve this problem. We have a situation here. I go to them and say, this situation has happened. You have closed the particular project. Now, because of it, we have an impact and we have done an impact analysis. And these are the possible alternative. One of the alternative could be alternative A, yeah, which talks about why don't we give this work to the project team, which is expected to consume that component directly. They seems to be the best one to do it. But it is also possible out of other three teams where there were five, one is getting closed, four are still left. There is a possibility there could be other three teams which might be more skilled in doing that job. So it's not always necessary the impacted project will only take the desired scope. We need to find out efficiency. We need to make sure that we manage our resources well. So we will do our impact analysis and come up with the decision. So easy to conclude that I will definitely go for impact analysis and alternative identification before I go for a particular recommendation. So again, it is mapped to change. It is little bit mixed up with closure, component closure in this particular case. So you do have a task related to component closure as well, which need to be done as per the governance framework. But here it is more on change. So I focus on change related topic more here. Question number 65. You are the program manager for program A, which is nearing closure. According to the organizational plan, program B was expected to sustain the benefits delivered by program A. However, the organization has decided to cancel the program B. Okay, what should you do as a program manager for program A? Yeah. So we get the story. There was a program which was expected to transition to program B, the benefits, and program B were expected to sustain it and may do few more things, but organization has decided we don't need program B anymore. Now, what will you do? Why should I worry about it? You need to worry about it because you need to do a transitioning and sustainment, planning. So you need to find out who are the audience who probably will take transition from you, and then they can sustain it, or there is some other adjustment has to be done. We can't think of that my job is just to finish my program because I already got an approval for it. That's not a good idea. So let's see option A. Prepare a request for approval for initiating the program closure activity to the governance group. You will definitely do that. Yeah, but this information has to do something with your option. If I have to choose this, then what is the whole story of my sustainment plan and benefit sustainment plan getting disturbed? Yeah, so my sustainment plan is in a confusion. How probably I will just ignore that particular fact. So I need to do something about it rather than just move forward with the closure and request for the closure. Yeah, you may think that I request for the closure. It's a problem of my management. If they have to do something, they will not give me a closure approval. Yeah, some of us can think like that. But for an exam perspective, I should take a little bit ownership as a program manager to find out something more. Let's see if we get a better option. Option B, request the organization to reconsider its decision to cancel program B as it was critical for sustaining program A's benefits. I can definitely do that. I will ask that my management, you should think about our sustainment as well. Yeah, I can do that. It's a possible thing. Yeah. Option C, identify alternative ways to sustain the benefits of program A and present these options to the governance board for approval. So C is better than B. Yeah. So B is talking about one of the possible way of sustaining and planning the benefits, sustaining the benefits which are produced by program A. But C is saying that we can figure it out. Maybe it's a possible that we will probably consider the program B to do something or may have some sustenance team. So I like the C over B. Let's see option D. Request an extension of a program A duration to allocate resources to handle the sustainment activities until another group can take over. Looks like a good idea. So I would say B and D are part of C. Whenever you have a more than one option coming in which looks good, then I need to see something which is more open-ended. Yeah. So that's one of the tricks. Sometimes you may not get that fairly crafted option in your real exam. Sometimes there are few options easy to discard. But overall, I know that it is always to explore for alternatives and propose them. And then once we have an agreement on how are we going to take care of this change which has happened, which will be impacting our sustainment planning. And once that agreement is done, accordingly, we will initiate for the closer activities. Yeah. So that way, we need to focus on the impact analysis of this new change which has occurred here. It's a kind of a change. Yeah. It's a change in your environmental condition which might impact your overall program closure. So I'm mapping to the task number 32 and 33, but the change can also be mapped here. We are talking about the closure as per the boundary, and we need to focus on coming up with the transitioning activity planning. Transition activity we will do as a part of a closure of our program, but benefits transitions can be planned during the program delivery as well. There could be a transitioning of the benefits can happen during program delivery as well. But while we are doing program closure, we need to ensure we cross-check and transition all the benefits, and we have a planning for the sustainment. Question number 66. You are managing a program composed of multiple components. One of the component has successfully delivered its scopes and intended outcome. Which of the following activities should you prioritize next? Yeah. So it is basically focusing on component closure and how do you move for a component closure? What are the things you will do to initiate the component closure? Yeah. So some of those things we need to figure it out. Option A, transition the component deliverables. Yes, we just spoke about transitioning and sustainment in our previous question. You need to do that. Update the benefits management plan. Probably yes. Yeah. Probably not necessary. If there is a change in the benefits management, then yes, but not necessary always. Component closure not always necessarily impacts the benefits management plan. And benefits management plan may get updated without component closure as well. So that's the thing. And also the program charter. Program charter is very unlikely to get impacted with the closure of a component. So I can keep A aside. Option B, close the procurement, remove it from the program work breakdown structure, close the component. Yes, I do that closing of the component, but I need to take some approval before that. Remove it from a program work breakdown structure. I probably won't remove it. I will mark maybe it's done and something, but I won't say that this is no more there. Yeah, it will be a part of our work breakdown structure. And update the program roadmap. Program roadmap will definitely get updated. Program roadmap is a part of your program management plan, which will definitely consider to be updated. So yes, yeah, but I don't want to close the component directly. I need to take an approval for it, and I can't just remove the WBS. I need to mark the status. Option C, conduct the final review with the sponsor and steering committee. Makes sense. Yeah, so we are having review and approval process. Update the program roadmap. Yeah, I will do that. That's a good idea. And transition the component deliverable for benefit sustainment. All good. Yeah, so option C has all the good activities which I end up doing for a component closure. You can match it with your program management standard as well. They become very obvious once you understand this whole process of closing the components and program. So C looks good. Option D, transfer the component on ongoing operation team. Yeah, it could get transferred to ongoing operation. It could get transferred to program team. It could get transferred to another project team also. But we see that there is a transition can happen. But I will definitely have a transition and allocate project resources to other active projects. It's too early to say. You do a resource transitioning, but it's not necessary that you will allocate them. You probably release them. That's also a possibility. So D is too much thinking. Some are relevant. So I definitely go with option C here because it is helping me to say that I am working with my governance. I am reviewing it and I am reviewing and I will take an approval. Approval is not very clearly coming out, but we are seeing reviewing and we are focusing on updating the roadmap and transitioning the component for the benefit sustainment. So those are nice word. So there is a specific task number 24, which focuses on approved closure of a constituent project component upon completion of defined deliverables to ensure scope is compliant with the functional overview. So closure of a component is a governance point. Initiation of a component is also a governance point. So we need to make sure that we involve the governance here. So these questions will also come as a part of a governance domain touch, yeah, because closure is pretty much governance involved activity. And that's why we see many questions on the closure in the exam. Question number 67. Your program is nearing formal closure. Thanks to the team's exceptional performance and efficiency, you have received appreciation from stakeholder management. Additionally, there is a surplus of funds remaining from the program budget. Okay, you have money available. What do you do? What should you do with the remaining funds and resources during your program closure? Yeah, so your team has done a great job. You have saved some money than initially thought. Option A, distribute the surplus fund as a bonuses to the program team for their excellent performance and document this as a reward initiative. You can do that. There's a possibility. But reward and recognition is a matter which we need to be finalized as per your resource planning. It's not something you randomly plan. Yeah, in general, it's not a closer activity. If you have a agreed upon incentive because on some performance, then you need to distribute those incentive. If you don't have an agreed upon incentive, since you left with the money, it's very unlikely that you will say, okay, let's make the policy now and distribute the money. That's not a good idea. Option B, return the remaining fund to the organization after completing the financial closure task and ensure resources are reassigned to appropriate project or departments. That seems to be a good idea. We need to return the money. Yeah, the company got some money, you will definitely give it back to them. Okay. Option C, retain the surplus fund for providing potentially new initiative under the same program charter. That's too much. We are going for a closer. So we have received appreciation and we are going into a closer. So why I have to focus on, we will start another component inside the program charter? Very unlikely. So that's too much. C is easy to ignore. Yeah. D, use the surplus fund to organize a program closer party and provide small gifts to the stakeholder as a gesture of appreciation. So A and D are more or less same. A and D are saying, I left with the money, let me make some use of it and make people happy. Yeah. Please don't do that. If you have to make people happy, it has to be planned as a part of your resource management planning and you make them appropriately. But just not because you got some money, you want to utilize it to make people happy. That is not going to happen. You need to just return this money to your organization. If you see your program lifecycle section in your program management standard, you will clearly see that remaining funds, remaining resources has to be released and given back to the organization so they can make best use of it. Yeah. So that way, your option B plays a role here. Yeah. So you get this answer right. So this is overall conduct the program closer within the boundaries of governance framework. You need to follow the governance framework. It is not something that you can decide and do in your program here. Now, question number 68. You are leading a program with 4 projects and over 100 team members aimed at enhancing the students' experience for their exam. Due to a change in government after recent elections, the new administration has decided not to continue this program. You have been directed to close the program. Okay, so I need to do a program closure. That's good. Yeah, I get it. What is the best way to communicate the program closer to the team? Okay, so little twist. So situation has been created for a closure, abnormal closure, termination of the program. But the question is basically asking how you break the news. Yeah? So it's more about communication skills of a program manager. How do you have an empathetic, transparent communication of this current situation with your 100 team members? Option A, write an email to all the team members, provide background on government's decisions and informing them of the program's closure. Can happen. Many a time you see that your senior stakeholder end up sending an email and giving you bad news. Yeah, that's a pretty common nowadays. Yeah, but it's a candidate option. Yeah. Option B, conduct a town hall meeting with your full program teams to communicate the closure, provide context, and discuss the next possible allocation for the team members. Better. Interactive communication, stakes are high. Now, some of you may think people might not be at a one location. The question is not saying so. And even if they are not one location, they may have a mechanism to meet. But we are learning here is the first A was saying that you will do a push communication. And the B is saying that you will do interactive communication. And the thing seems to be high stake material. I prefer to do an interactive communication. Let's see option C. Conduct a meeting with your project managers and instruct them to communicate the closure to their respective teams. You might have seen that also happening in many organizations where you only talk to the key people and let them do the messaging beyond. Yeah. So if I have to compare B and C, I should be, because the question is about program manager, the exam is about PgMP exam. So I should try to handle the situation as much as possible myself. It's a critical thing. It's a bad news thing. So I should be owning it, rather than I am hoping the project managers will do the job. So B is still better than C. Option D, publish a closer information on your organization internet portal for everyone to read. That's a pull communication. Yeah. So A is push, D is pull. B and C is interactive. B is interactive with all the 100 people. C is interacting with limited team members. Yeah, limited project team members. So that is something, these are the two alternatives you are exploring here. So for me, I better interact with the whole group and make sure that we make best use of our interactive communication so that we can communicate this news to our stakeholders. So conduct program closer with the boundaries of the governance framework. That's the task which I mapped to, but it is basically focusing more on ability to communicate. Yeah. You may wonder, can I get these kind of questions in the exam? Definitely yes. This is all about the program management skills. I am making these questions on my own. That's true, but I'm definitely referring the exam content outline and the trends which are observed in the exam to make sure that you do get some value directly, not indirectly alone, when you are giving your PgMP exam. Question number 69. You are managing a program with multiple components project aimed at implementing a nationwide digital education program system. Yeah. One of the component project has successfully completed its deliverable ahead of schedule and under budget. Yeah. Resulting in surplus funds. Yeah, so last time the surplus fund was at a program level. This time the surplus fund is at a component level. One project has done the job. The overall program is still ongoing and other component projects requires additional resources. They need money, people, so there is a requirement. Yeah. So what should you do to this remaining budget for the completed project? That's a simple question. Option A, distribute the remaining budget to the other components that are needing funds. You can definitely do that. Most likely you want to do that, yeah, because you are focusing on overall program budget, overall program business case. One component might have consumed less. We have money left. We want to put it as a reserve and spend it across. Good idea. You can do that. But we better want to involve management also when I'm doing it, because it's a governance point. Closer funding is something under the guidance of governance. That's the only thing which is missing. But if nothing comes up, we can choose A. Option B, return the remaining budget to the program sponsor immediately. Not necessary. So don't see the component closer remaining budget equivalent to program closer remaining budget. Yeah. So program closer remaining budget, you definitely have to return to the organization, but component closer remaining budget, you can definitely utilize somewhere else. Option C, use the surplus fund to conduct team building activities for the program team to enhance morale and collaboration. Possibly you can do that, but avoid directly utilizing the fund into something which is not pointing out to a value delivery directly. Yeah, indirect value delivery come from the motivation, but it can looks like little misuse of the fund as well. Option D, reallocate the remaining fund to other active program components that required additional resources. Looks like same like A, following governance approval. Yeah, so A was good. The D has improved it by involving the governance in it. So I go with D because I definitely want to work with my governance group, who can help me in ensuring and agreeing to me that how can I use my remaining fund. So overall, I'm mapping it to task number 17, establishing consistency by deploying governance framework standards. So it has a governance point, it has a component closer point as well. So mix of those two skills are getting tested in this particular question number 69. Question number 70. You are managing a program with multiple components aimed at creating a national digital assessment system. One of the component has delivered its output, but the benefits realization process is ongoing. The program sponsor is advocating for closing the component to streamline program resources and suggests that the program team take over the responsibility of supporting benefits realization. However, some members of the steering committee believes the component should remain open to ensure dedicated focus on benefits realization. Yeah. As a program manager, how should you address this situation? So hopefully you are getting the question. If you get the question, it means you have a good understanding of benefits management. That domain is well understood by you. So we have a we are in a program delivery phase only, but in the delivery phase, we have a one component project which has done the output outcome delivery, but the benefits are expected to realize over a period of time. Someone has to support sustenance activity for those benefits, maybe some amount of support. Now this team is doing, but the sponsor feels this team is not well utilized because sustenance can be done by maybe some other team. Yeah. Why don't we use them somewhere else, close this component and use their resources somewhere else? Whereas a steering committee member, some of them believe, no, if you distribute them, maybe they are not well utilized, but they are well focused on the benefits sustainment because they know the system well, they know the component well. So let's keep them active for a while and they should be sustaining the benefits. So how do you handle that situation as a project manager, as a program manager? Program manager is the focus. Project is a discussion point. So say this question is mixing the conflicts. So it's a conflict question. There is a conflict between a sponsor view and a steering committee member's view. It is also mixing the idea of benefits management, benefits sustainment, and it is also touching the aspect of a component closure. Yeah, these are the aspects which are covered here. So support the sponsor's request and close the component immediately, transferring the responsibility for benefits realization to the program team. So you understand that conflict management should be done in a way so that we develop relationship, we build trust, we satisfy people. I don't want to just listen to the one group and say, others are not relevant. Even though the group is the powerful guy, you have a sponsor who's a powerful guy, definitely. But steering committee members are also expected to be powerful. And I want to have a cohesive working rather than I just follow one person's advice. So that way I should not be going for option A. Option B, keep the component open as recommended by steering committee to ensure benefits realization is fully supported by the existing component team. So I see there is a merit in A option and B option both. Yeah. So sponsor is also having one perspective. The steering committee members also has one perspective. Both are having some merits. Yeah. But I can't just choose one. I am a facilitator. I am a collaboration creator. I want to create an empathetic relationship. I want to keep the process transparent. Yeah. So that way I can't go with A and B directly. Let's see option C. Conduct a formal assessment of the components readiness for closure and benefits realization status. Conduct a formal assessment of the components readiness and for the closure and benefit realization status. Present the finding to the governance board and seek a final decision. So it is saying that I will do an analysis and assessment of that component and see that what is the readiness for component as per the components, our governance plan, and what is the overall status of the benefits realization. And we put this whole facts and figures in front of the people, and then we will talk about the decision, and I will facilitate the decision making. Looks good because you are going in a more fact-based systematic approach rather than jumping to a one conclusion. So option C looks good to me. Option D, request the program team to prepare a detailed plan for managing benefits realization after closure and proceed with closing the component. So in a way, the D is saying I listen to the sponsor, but I take care of the concerns of the steering committee members also. Don't worry, we will sustain it. Not a bad idea, but we have a better one, which is not jumping to a one side of working that you end up doing sometime as option D also. But I put the information in front of the governance group, let them figure it out, let them discuss it, and based on we will decide what is the right thing to do. Yeah. So that way I follow governance when I am following the closer. Whenever the closer comes, always become sensitive towards the governance. Whenever the conflict comes, always become sensitive to finding a win-win solution rather than focusing on one particular party only. So overall, we can map it to task 24. We can map to other places as well because it has many aspects of the program management covered in this particular question. So this way, we covered question number 70. So if you are already familiar with our previous videos, then you know that you can watch them and they can help you in developing your program management skills as well as readiness for your PgMP exam. If you need specific assistance, you can connect with us. We do have a mentoring program to support your PgMP journey.